Have you ever wondered why certain individuals seem to possess an inner stillness that others cannot touch? Why some people move through the world with a quiet authority that requires no proclamation, no force, yet commands respect without seeking it? These are not the loudest voices in the room, nor are they those who push themselves forward for recognition. Instead, they carry something far more precious, a rare quality of character that emerges only through years of patient cultivation and moral discipline. Confucius taught us that true nobility is not inherited through blood or acquired through wealth. It is forged in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when we choose virtue over convenience, when we act according to what is right rather than what is easy. The Master said that among 1,000 people, perhaps only one possesses the combination of wisdom, restraint, and moral courage that marks an exceptional soul. These individuals do not announce themselves with grand gestures or seek validation through external means. Their strength flows from an inner harmony that aligns their thoughts, words, and actions with the eternal principles that govern human conduct. If you have felt a deep calling towards something greater than mere personal success, if you have found yourself naturally drawn to acts of service without expectation of reward, if you have experienced the profound satisfaction that comes from doing what is right simply because it is right, then perhaps you carry within you the seeds of this rare temperament. Today, we will examine 7 unmistakable signs that reveal the presence of an exceptionally cultivated character, the kind that emerges only when one has dedicated their life to walking the path of virtue. The first sign of this extraordinary nature reveals itself in how you respond to criticism and praise alike. Most people become agitated when others speak poorly of them, rushing to defend their reputation or seeking revenge against those who have wronged them. Similarly, they become intoxicated by flattery, allowing compliments to inflate their sense of self-worth beyond proper measure. But you have discovered something profound, that both criticism and praise are merely external winds that cannot disturb the inner tree that has grown deep roots. When someone speaks harshly of your character or questions your motives, you do not feel the familiar fire of indignation burning in your chest. Instead, you pause and consider whether their words contain any grain of truth that might help you improve. If their criticism is just, you receive it as a gift from a teacher, even if that teacher speaks with unkind intent. If their words are false, you feel no need to correct them, knowing that your actions will speak more clearly than any defense you might offer. This is not indifference. It is the profound understanding that your worth does not depend upon the opinions of others. Likewise, when others offer you praise, you do not allow it to disturb your inner balance. You accept kind words graciously, but you do not let them convince you that you have reached the end of your journey of self-cultivation. You understand that every compliment is an opportunity to practice humility, to remember that whatever good you have accomplished flows not from your own cleverness, but from your willingness to align yourself with principles greater than your personal desires. The second sign appears in your relationship with material possessions and worldly success. While others chase after wealth, status, and luxury, as if these things could satisfy the deepest longings of the human heart, you have learned to hold all external goods lightly. This does not mean you live in poverty or refuse the legitimate comforts that come through honest labor. Rather, you understand that possessions are tools to be used wisely, not treasures to be hoarded or sources of identity to be displayed. You work diligently and accept the fruits of your labor, but you do not define yourself by what you own or the position you hold. When fortune smiles upon you, you remain grateful, yet unchanged. When circumstances become difficult, you do not despair or compromise your principles to regain what you have lost. You have discovered that contentment comes not from having much, but from needing little beyond what is necessary for a life of virtue and service. This inner freedom from attachment allows you to be generous without calculation. You give not because you expect something in return, but because generosity is the natural expression of a heart that understands its connection to all living things. When you see someone in need, you respond not from duty alone, but from the spontaneous compassion that flows from recognizing their fundamental dignity as a fellow human being walking the same difficult path toward wisdom and goodness. The third sign manifests in how you handle power and authority over others. Whether you find yourself in a position of leadership within your family, your community, or your work, you do not use your influence to serve your own interests or to satisfy your ego. Instead, you understand that all authority is a sacred trust, a responsibility to guide others toward their own flourishing and to protect those who cannot protect themselves. You lead not through force or manipulation, but through the quiet power of example. People follow you not because they fear the consequences of disobedience, but because they see in your conduct a model of how they themselves might live with greater integrity and purpose. You make decisions based not on what will benefit you personally, but on what will serve the greater good and honor the moral order that should govern all human relationships. When you must correct someone under your care, you do so with patience and compassion, remembering that you too have made mistakes and required the guidance of wise teachers. You do not humiliate or punish out of anger, but you help others understand the natural consequences of their choices and the path toward better conduct. Your authority becomes a source of stability and growth for those around you, rather than a burden they must endure. The fourth sign reveals itself in your approach to learning and the pursuit of wisdom. While others believe that education ends when they complete their formal studies or achieve a certain level of success, you understand that true learning is the work of an entire lifetime. You approach each day with the humble recognition that you still have much to discover about yourself, about others, and about the proper way to live in harmony with the moral order that governs all things. You do not pretend to know more than you actually understand, nor do you speak with false authority on matters beyond your experience. When someone asks you a question that you cannot answer, you admit your ignorance without shame, knowing that honesty about your limitations is the beginning of genuine wisdom. You seek out teachers wherever they may be found, in books written by ancient sages, in conversations with elders who have walked longer on the path of virtue, and even in the innocent questions of children who have not yet learned to hide their wonder at the world. Most remarkably, you have learned to receive instruction from your own mistakes. When you act in ways that bring harm to yourself or others, you do not waste time in regret or self-condemnation. Instead, you examine your error with the careful attention of a scholar studying a difficult text, seeking to understand what led you astray so that you might choose more wisely when similar circumstances arise again. You understand that every failure contains within it the seeds of future success, provided you have the courage to learn from what has gone wrong. This dedication to continuous learning extends beyond mere intellectual pursuits. You study the art of living itself, how to speak words that heal rather than wound, how to act in ways that bring peace rather than discord, how to cultivate patience when others test your resolve, how to remain steadfast in your principles when the whole world seems to have forgotten what is right and good. You recognize that mastering these skills requires the same diligent practice that a musician devotes to perfecting their instrument or a craftsman to refining their art. The fifth sign appears in how you treat those who have less power, wealth, or status than yourself. Many people reveal their true character, not in how they behave toward their superiors or equals, but in their conduct toward servants, children, the poor, and those who can offer them nothing in return. You have learned that every human being, regardless of their station in life, possesses an inherent dignity that demands your respect and consideration. When you interact with someone who serves you, whether they bring you food, clean your home, or assist you in your work, you treat them with the same courtesy and kindness you would show to an honored guest. You remember their names, you inquire about their welfare, and you never forget that their labor contributes to your comfort and well-being. You understand that true nobility is measured not by how many people serve you, but by how well you honor those whose service makes your own life possible. Your compassion extends especially to those who are struggling or suffering. When you encounter someone who is poor, sick, or troubled, you do not turn away or blame them for their circumstances. Instead, you offer whatever assistance lies within your power, whether that be material help, wise counsel, or simply the gift of your presence and attention. You recognize that fortune is like the weather, sometimes fair, sometimes stormy, and that those who enjoy sunshine today may face clouds tomorrow. This same gentleness characterizes your relationships with children and students. You never speak to them with condescension or impatience, remembering that you too were once young and ignorant, requiring the patient guidance of those who had walked further along the path of wisdom. When you teach, you do so with joy, knowing that in helping others grow in understanding and virtue, you honor the teachers who once showed you the same kindness. The sixth sign manifests in your relationship with time itself and your understanding of what truly matters in this brief life we are given. While others rush frantically from one pursuit to another, always anxious about tomorrow or dwelling on yesterday's regrets, you have learned to inhabit the present moment with full attention and gratitude. You understand that life unfolds not in grand dramatic gestures, but in the countless small choices we make each day. How we greet the morning, how we speak to our family members, how we conduct our work, how we treat strangers we encounter along our path. You do not live in constant urgency, always planning for some future happiness that will come when you achieve your next goal or acquire your next possession. Nor do you waste precious hours mourning opportunities that have passed or mistakes that cannot be undone. Instead, you focus your energy on what lies before you right now, the conversation you are having, the task you are performing, the person who needs your help, the moment of beauty that presents itself for your appreciation. This presence of mind allows you to notice things that others miss in their haste. You see the worry in a friend's eyes and offer comfort before they ask. You observe the changing seasons and draw lessons from the way nature moves through cycles of growth and rest. You pay attention to the small kindnesses that people show one another and feel gratitude for the web of goodness that sustains human community even in difficult times. Your patience extends to the long work of character development itself. You understand that becoming a person of virtue is not accomplished in a day or a year, but requires the steady application of right principles over many seasons of life. Like a gardener who plants seeds knowing that the harvest will come only after much careful tending, you persist in cultivating good habits even when progress seems slow or invisible to others. The seventh and final sign reveals itself in your understanding of your place within the great tapestry of existence. You have come to see that your individual life, however precious, is but one thread woven into a pattern that extends far beyond your own experience. This recognition brings neither despair nor insignificance, but rather a profound sense of belonging and responsibility. You understand that every action you take, every word you speak, every choice you make sends ripples through the fabric of human community that will touch lives you may never know. You live with the awareness that you are simultaneously student and teacher, child and ancestor, receiver and giver. The wisdom you have gained through years of patient cultivation is not yours alone to treasure, but a gift to be shared with those who walk behind you on the path. The kindness shown to you by teachers and elders creates a debt that can only be repaid by extending the same care to the next generation. These 7 signs, your equanimity in the face of praise and criticism, your freedom from attachment to worldly goods, your compassionate use of authority, your lifelong dedication to learning, your gentle treatment of those with less power, your mindful presence in each moment, and your understanding of your place in the eternal order. These are not accomplishments to be worn as badges of honor. They are simply the natural fruits that grow on the tree of a life devoted to virtue. If you have recognized yourself in these descriptions, do not let pride take root in your heart. Instead, let this recognition deepen your humility and strengthen your resolve to continue walking the path that leads to true human flourishing. The Master taught that the journey of 10,000 miles begins with a single step. Today, take that step once more, and tomorrow, take another. The way is long, but each step brings you closer to the harmony that your heart seeks and that the world desperately needs.